Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Eric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
This episode is brought to you by Sevens Boutique, an online shop created by 2 sisters, Angie and Jess, who believe you should walk boldly, dress divinely, and know your significance. At Sevens, you'll find easygoing pieces that are cozy, classy, and made to mix and match. Think relaxed pants, cozy sweaters, and lifestyle sets you'll want to live in. Every item is handpicked with purpose, so you can shop confidently, dress comfortably, and walk boldly. Inventory is small and curated, so if you see something you love, don't wait. Visit sevensboutique.com and use the code PODCAST10 for 10% off your first order. www.sevensboutique.com. Walk boldly, dress divinely, know your significance.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where it's Angie and I together again for the first time in a minute. No guest this week. You and I, and frankly, if anyone's watching at home on the YouTube video, you look gorgeous. I don't know what you've done here, but wow.
Well, that might be a whole podcast episode. Maybe our next one, talk about my 2026 goals and how it's impacted me.
Are you doing things I don't even know about?
No,
okay.
You're
All right.
aware.
Okie dokie.
That's one of our habits we started at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, we're going to be doing that habit when we get done with this podcast too. So
It was sunny today. And if it's sunny and warm, go sit outside for 15 minutes and let the sun shine on your face. There's something so powerful, so healing of just getting that natural vitamin D. And I did do that today. I had some calls this afternoon. Obviously, I'm in meetings all the time, but I'm like, I'm going to go sit outside for a second on my calls. And so it's just like,
yeah, in Missouri, a 70-degree February day, we got to take a little 3-mile walk at about 5 o'clock tonight. So just great. And sometimes what we want to talk about today is just showing up for other people. And sometimes when you do that, it doesn't have to be that you're fixing anything. That's the initial, I think, for a lot of people, our initial feeling is, hey, we should go show up and fix something when someone's hurting. And a lot of times the best thing for you to do is just to show up. Can be just to sit, can be just to listen. You actually don't have to fix things. And that's kind of what we want to talk about today.
Where we left off, our last episode where it was just you and I, it was the night before Hallie's birthday. So, this November, December, January, back-to-back anniversary of her death, and then the holidays, and then her birthday. There's always a level of deep, deep pain on the milestones, but the one thing that makes the weight feel a little less is when people show up. And for Hallie's birthday, one of I think the sweetest things is my best friend Amber was like, well, what are you going to do for Hallie's birthday? And I'm like, well, I'm not really sure. I was going to do a lesson, but it was just so cold that day, a horse lesson. And Amber's like, well, I want to go see Phoenix. I want to go see Hallie's horse. And so I go pick her up. We're big into fresh juice. Also, that's going to give a tip away. But anyway, so I go pick her up. She's got 2 glasses of fresh juice and we drive out to the barn, dressed to the nines.
Yeah, 2 bougie women.
My God.
They're bougie.
And spent some time with Phoenix. And it was just so uplifting to know that someone wants to go see Hallie's horse, spend time doing the things that Hallie would have absolutely loved to do. It's so powerful. Did it fix anything? Did it make the hurt of not having Hallie here for yet another birthday go away? No, it absolutely is all still the same and will forever be this gut-wrenching sadness in our life. But it also is like so uplifting at the same time. Then we roll into, we always go to dinner at Hallie's favorite restaurant in Columbia. It's Gina Yu's. And I had invited my family. this time. Sometimes we do. It's just our family. Sometimes we invite other people. I think it just sort of, we go with whatever that vibe feels like at the time, because you honestly never know. I never know if I'm going to be in a mood to like, hey, this is going to be great to be around people, or hey, it'd be great if I sat 4 hours in the bathtub and just,
You'd be a prune after 4 hours.
hey, I could do it. I think I could lock into it.
But yeah, you never know. And so we did invite your family, and they showed up.
The army showed up. For a lot of them, it was their first time going to this restaurant. They had to make a significant drive to come to the restaurant. The weather wasn't amazing. It was cold. And they showed up. Again, did it take away the deep pain and fix it? No, but it made my heart smile to know that the majority of my family took time out of their weekend to just come have dinner together. And then afterwards, Jess had surprised me and had already went by the house while we were heading to dinner. And she made this gorgeous cake that had Hallie's name on it and sunflowers and balloons. And it was just like the intentionality behind it and remembering the things that Hallie loved. It just makes me feel like she's still celebrated. People still say her name. And that power of people refusing to let her birthday pass by quietly is like all people need to get through those hard days, is just to know that she's remembered. And I will say, not even significant birthdays. How you show up for people that have lost a kiddo, say their name. Like, I don't care if it's 5 years later, say their name, because the reality, the harsh reality, is that people will naturally move on and forget. And your circle gets really small of those people that truly remember and matter. And listen, you don't have to have an army. You just need a few people that know and remember your child.
I think we've talked about this before, but so often you'll hear people like, well, I didn't bring it up because I just didn't want to cause any more pain, or I didn't know how to say it without making Angie feel bad. And it's like, no, you could not say anything to make, she feels it all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When you do ask about Hallie or how she's feeling this time of year, or you want to talk about Hallie, that actually, she enjoys that. She makes her feel better. I remember there were several times this year in the grieving period. I feel like every year is been different, hopefully better, because I know there were times this time where I was able to just be quiet with you. I remember one night specifically, I got home and you were like, I've been sitting in the dark, quiet for a couple hours. That's all I want to do. And I got home and it was 7 o'clock and it was just dark in the house. You were on the couch. Fireplace was on. I think maybe that was it. So then I sat next to you for the next 2 hours till we went to bed. I didn't speak either. Christmas Day, it was nice. We took a walk and I remember just thinking on the walk, how can I talk about Hallie? And so I asked you if you had like favorite Christmas memories of her when she was little. And so little things like that, you aren't fixing anything, but you are at least trying to be present with the person in their pain.
So the irony of so much of this is that grief and supporting grief and leaning into that is not grand gestures. It just needs witnesses, like people that will sit in it with you, even when it's awkward, even when it's uncomfortable. And we're sharing all this because we continually get asked, like, how do you show up for someone in this scenario? How do you show up for someone in this scenario? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. It's just time to revisit, like, how do you show up for people in general? So we touched on grief. Like, that to me is the absolute hardest thing to do. It's sitting in the suck with them. It's saying their name. And because it's such extreme sadness. But then I think, we talked about Hallie's birthday, but then there's also like, how do you show up for people from even celebrating their life when they are here? So like today's Eric's birthday. And
that's me. Wow.
And, part of it is leaning into what he loves. So we talked about his birthday. I'm like, what do you want to do for your birthday? And he thought about it for a little while and was like, I love to work out. Like, I think I want to do like some sort of group workout, family workout for my birthday. I'm like, I freaking love it. Now, most of our kids work out. And so we definitely have that going for us. But I don't know if you guys have ever tried to get kids to do something after a weekend of them running around. We had a couple of them that were not feeling the best, but it was like a self-inflicted sickness. But
everyone made it.
Everybody showed up. And I think that is, at the end of the day, like what matters the most. Even when it's uncomfortable, because we had a couple people that had never been to a gym before, and getting out of their comfort zone and doing something that they don't want to do also matters to the person that you're trying to celebrate.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed it. And it was great to see some people that we've never seen in that gym setting before in our family. But it was one of those things where as we get into year 45, I'll tell you why it meant something to me. I've spent so much time over the last 18 months trying to figure out how I can show up better for everyone in my family and just continue to show up on a daily basis, no matter what they need and when they need it. Like, I want to be that rock that they can come to no matter what's going on. Now, I am human. So on occasion, you're like, all right, I hope that they'll show up for me on this day, on my birthday. And so when I came up with the idea to do a family workout with our friends at API Project Fitness, we've had both Michael Agnew and Jarrell Jackson on the podcast before years ago. I don't know if they loved it or not, but they all showed up and we had a great time.
It was good.
Everyone enjoyed being in that setting, physical activity together. And then we came back home and had pizza because, we worked out so we could have pizza. Yeah. But it was great. And it for me, it was that aspect of like me working so hard to show up for everybody, them showing up for me today. It meant a lot. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's all you have to do.
But we have learned one lesson is that you don't ask Angie to go to the gym whenever it's -5 degrees outside.
It wasn't -5. We had a snowy weekend in Missouri a few weeks back, and Angie had said on Friday, I just don't want to do anything all weekend. I just want to stay inside.
I think I said it on Thursday, and I had been traveling, and it just was kind of a little bit crazy.
You also had said you thought you might want to go tan if the weather wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And so that morning, the weather wasn't that bad. And I thought, do you want to go tan / work out?
Was it below zero?
It was around zero. But the weather wasn't bad to where we could drive. And I thought, do you want to go tan and work out? I'm thinking an hour. And now, I'm a little bit gun shy on asking her to go do things because it was have you ever been, guys and girls, ladies, you're listening, you're in a relationship and you're like, guy asks you to do something, you don't want to. But for that reason, you're going to make sure that he knows that you don't want to be there or do the thing.
Yeah, I made sure.
And in that moment, I'm like, I really just wish you would have just said, I want to stay home. And I would have done this by myself. And but we live and we learn and we don't do those things again is how that usually goes.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It was unlike you.
I was irritated
that way.
I was irritated. But
no,
I
really?
felt like I needed to go because there was something prior to that I didn't want to do. And you were like, I felt like you guilted me into doing it. So then I'm like, well, I got to go because then he's going to be sad that I'm not doing things for him. And then we were leaving and it was really cold. I was getting more and more irritated as we were driving to the gym. Like, this is boundaries. Like, why didn't I just say that I didn't want to go? But I had told him
while we were there, I was like, why didn't you just say you didn't want to come? Why? This would have made this a lot better for me if you would have just said, hey, I'm just going to stay home. So yeah.
But love looks like participation. So I think it
is about showing up. But then have you seen that Nate Bargatze clip from years ago? It's so funny. He's a comedian and I love Nate Bargatze because he doesn't cuss. It's all clean humor. And it's all very relatable. And he talks about how bad it is when you fight in your marriage. He's like, because you're literally fighting with your only friend. And he's like, the fight is dumb. Like you're walking down hallway, like trying to kind of slide past the other person. Like, are we still doing this? Are we not fighting yet? And then you have to come up with dumb things to talk about. Even like our refrigerator still works, right? Like just to see if they respond, to see how it goes.
I remember that on the car ride home. I think you were trying to come up with.
It's like, hey, do you want to get a coffee or when I get home, would you like for me to scrub the entire home down? Inside.
Precious.
But I don't know. We should probably not say that you showed up that day because
I really didn't
I
show
don't
up.
think
I
that's
was
really what
along.
we're talking about.
I was along for it, but it was a little irritated.
Yeah. So anywho,
Anyway, it does matter when people show up. I mean, we talked about grief, we talked about birthdays, throw when people are going through illnesses and battles. Like that can feel so isolating. Grief can make you feel like people have forgotten. Birthdays, people just want to be seen. In hard seasons, the silence feels like people are abandoning you. I mean, there's just so many different aspects that just a simple act of showing up can make people feel so
just not
important.
alone. Not
So
alone.
important that they matter.
Yeah, I know for me personally, lately, what I'm really trying to figure out, I've been talking to our pastor Dave about this, is like how to show up and pray for people that need you. Because that's uncomfortable if you're just trying to pray for someone that you have never prayed with before. I mean, it's uncomfortable when I stop down to pray for Angie and I if we're in bed. That's probably better than it used to be. But, think about being in a relationship with your spouse or even trying to pray for your kids sometimes. That can be uncomfortable. And so then take like a person that even a friend, and you realize that they need some help and you're like, hey, I'd like to pray for you. That could be awkward. And so I've been trying to learn that, but I do think that that is a skill that is very much needed and a great way to show up for people, because even if they say, yeah, no, I'm good, you could say, that's all right. I'll pray for you on my own time. And they at least know that you're thinking about them and trying to show up for them in that regard. But if you have any good tips, if you pray for people like in their presence and you have any good tips for that, I am open to that, because that's something I'm trying to learn how to do, because I've had so many people over the years pray for me and it calms me down when they do that, that I really would like to give that back to other people.
It even matters for our kids, because I can tell you firsthand what it looks like when people don't show up. So one of our kiddos, everybody handles situations differently, but one of our kiddos, if they're going through a really hard time, they would rather nobody know about it. They'd rather just keep it internally and just share it with like their parents, something very, very tight, not even maybe some of their friends, because going through like extreme loss of Hallie and knowing that what the reality of what happens is people don't know how to show up. And so the first week or two, they're, engaged. I'm thinking about you. And then people don't know what to do after that. And so they forget, or it feels like they forget, and they go on with their lives. And so this particular kiddo of ours would rather just people not know than deal with the hurt of people moving on and forgetting. So that I'm sharing that because that's a consequence of not showing up, that then people feel like nobody cares, that it's easier if just you don't even talk about your feelings. It's easier to keep it within. So there's just a dynamic that is a deep-rooted pain when you feel like you're not seen or you don't matter with some of your closest friends. And it's not even an ill will. Like, it's not even like people do it intentionally. It's that people just don't know how to show up. So we'll cover some do's and don'ts around how to show up. Like, some do's are definitely remember the important dates, birthdays, heaven days, diagnosis days, surgery days. We have technology at our fingertips. Put the dates and their name in your phone. Set reminders, like whatever you need to do to remember important dates. If someone has gone through a loss, like say their name. I promise you, yes, they might cry, but you're not reminding them that they're gone. They might cry because you remembered. Whether this is grief or illness or birthdays, participate in what they love to do, even if it stretches you, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's awkward. Love is participation.
I think I talked to somebody a long time ago that said, they had a son who was really sick and then he made it, but same thing, people forgot. And so she always tries to make a point to, if someone passes away, loses a child, loses a parent, she tries to make sure that she follows up with a card gift anywhere from 6 months to a year later to say, hey, I know you're still hurting. And I just wanted to say that it's not been forgotten.
Yeah. Follow up after the crowd leaves, whether it's 3 weeks after a diagnosis, 3 months after a loss, a year later, the crowd will leave. That's when it really matters the most. And then a lot of people too are like, well, I don't know what questions to ask. And I'm doing this right now with friends of ours of just like, sometimes I think people think, well, I don't want to be nosy. I don't want to ask questions. I don't want to like overstep boundaries. The very simplest thing to do is to text someone and say, I'm thinking about you. No need to respond. That to me is like the best thing to do. The second thing is just, how are you today? Not like just how are you? How are you today? Because you're recognizing that days can be harder than others. And it's a very like specific question. And then here's some don'ts.
Yeah.
If you want to add in here.
I agree with the don'ts. Don't disappear after the first instance. So, support's not just a one-time thing. Maybe there's like a fundraiser for somebody who's sick. You show up to the fundraiser, then they don't hear from you ever again. Maybe you send them a text one time, but you never follow up. Or you send them flowers or whatever that may look like. It's not a one-time thing. If you really care about somebody, what they're going through, you have to show up over and over again. And then you don't want to make it about your discomfort, like we talked about earlier, where that people will say, well, I just didn't know if I said something about Hallie, if it would make Angie uncomfortable. That's your discomfort. Grief is awkward. People who are sick, that's heavy, but show up anyway. And just you do your best. And again, I think what you're going to find is, yes, it may be awkward, but it's not awkward for the person that you're talking to because they're actually living it and going through it. So you can talk about those things.
I think the other thing, this one is key for me because I'm definitely the person that I will never tell someone if I need something, ever. And so the don't say, can I bring you anything? Do you need anything? Instead, you just say, hey, I'm dropping off coffee. I'm going to put it on your porch. You don't have to talk to me, or I'm bringing dinner Tuesday night. Like, I'm doing this. So they don't have to be in a position to tell you something that they need because now you're putting the effort on them when they could be completely exhausted. And this way, it's just you being able to provide some sort of act of kindness, and you just say, this is what I'm doing. Give them an option to say no, right? But they don't have to then think about what they would ask you for.
I have to do better at that with Angie because there are days for sure I'm like, how can I show up for you today? And nothing.
I never have an answer.
Can't think of anything. I'm like,
because you're putting work on me. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to get through the day. I'm not thinking about like, here's things I want someone to do for me. I'm like, how can I keep breathing? How can I keep going?
Working on it. Work in progress. Don't forget. This is important. Don't forget, because when you forget, that communicates that it really didn't matter that much. And so sometimes that hurts people more than anything. And so just, important for you to continue to remember and send occasional reminders.
But the takeaway from all of this is that showing up does not require you to be perfect. It just requires a little bit of intention. And that can make the difference in someone's day, in someone's life. I don't think people realize the value of a simple text, a simple drop off of coffee. The littlest acts to just show up for people matters so much. Because honestly, the greatest fear and pain isn't the actual suffering part of it. It's the being forgotten part of it. That's probably the greatest hurt when you're going through something that's already painful. I mean, I look at the kiddo we referenced, like that part, that's what our kiddo remembers, is that everyone moved on and forgot.
And then when they're faced with other challenges and new challenges,
it brings it all back up again.
All right. We're going to end today's episode with a challenge. So eyes, ears, here we go. Let's go. Challenge open.
I would just encourage you all to just text someone. Like right now, you're done listening to the podcast, text someone who's had a loved one pass. It could have been a long time ago. Just text them. Guess who I thought of today? And shoot them a text. Say their name. Do something with somebody that makes you uncomfortable. Show up for someone. If they've been asking you to do something, you don't have to if it's really cold outside. But if someone asks you to do something and you're kind of hesitant, just jump in, do it anyway. My mom, who's in her 70s, went and did this workout with Aric, and she's
Glad
like,
she was there,
bench pressing the bar, and she's trying all different things. And she's really was it was fun to watch because That's mom. She will show up no matter what for people.
Yeah, it was cool. When someone's sick, you can just sit in the hospital room with them. You can just show up. We've had that recently with Angie's aunt who passed. Like, you just go and you sit with them. Drop off the cake if that is something that's applicable to you. We can't heal each other by fixing anything, but we can help to heal each other by showing up for each other. And that can be as simple as just being in a room with someone, sitting in silence. It could be dropping off the coffee, like Angie said, or just saying a prayer for them, either in their presence or on your own time. All right. So with that, hopefully now you guys can get off here and you can go send that text message or do that good deed for someone. Earlier this week, it was National Random Act of Kindness Day.
Oh.
So
What did you do?
I showed up for you.
That's not random.
Never mind. So anyway, I guess I'll take the challenge myself. But all of that being said, we are so grateful for each and every one of you listening. And for those of you who reach out to us regularly, and many of you do, and we thank you so much. And we're trying to pay it forward and hope that you will too. So thanks again. We hope that you have a wonderful week and God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended Blessed and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.